Hey, we're live.
We're live.
Thank you so much for joining us. Andrew.
Matt.
This is great. Look at this, the Vaults Collection. Ultimate Vaults Collection Virtual. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you can all hear us. We're in a bit of a different setup here. We're at an Andrew's studio, and we have replaced our usual monogram with our copper monogram to reflect our Vaults Collection tasting tonight.
Stunning contrast with the beautiful grey backdrop of the Scottish weather behind us.
That's right. We're going to go full white like this, but we decided to go full copper with the grey background. Very Scottish weather today.
Matches.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. It's meant to be.
You'd think we coordinated this.
At just 1 minute too. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to just see what's coming in on the chat line. Hello from Edinburgh, Scotland. I don't think you got one of the packs, but hello. G'day, Gav. And I'm sure lots of you are tuned in who are joining us with the pack. You can watch this back, of course, later. If you don't want to join us live, it's Friday night. You might be out doing something else, and that's fine. We've been doing a lot of virtuals this year.
We have.
And last year. But I mean, like a lot this year as well.
We have done one a month, haven't we?
Like one big one a month.
Yeah.
In fact, we had 1 month, I think it was in July, we had, August, we had Virtual Pub. So that was 2 in the month. And that was the feedback from Virtual Pub was fantastic. But it's always great doing these virtuals for you each month. And Mike Leyland, you just scraped in on that pack there, Mike. I'm so glad it arrived in time. Hi, Matt Bailey. I don't know who it is, but hello, back to you. But there's it's so good to see so many of you joining us tonight to do the Ultimate Vaults Collection virtual. It's
a pretty special virtual, isn't it?
Look, this is some of our rarest offering.
I was about to say, there are not too many tastings you can go to in person, live, or in the comfort of your own home where you're going to taste the caliber and just the quality and the rarity of what we're up for tonight. It's a fantastic lineup.
Yeah.
2 closed distilleries in this lineup, which again, you're not going to encounter that every day. And wonderful age statements here. This lineup would be, most of these, they all would be older than some of our members.
Yeah. In fact, the youngest whiskey we're tasting tonight is a 27-year-old whiskey, which I mean, I want to talk about old whiskey with you as we go through this tonight. And there's some obviously some learning to be had there, but I don't want to just talk the whole way through. You had a recommendation of starting though.
That's a really good idea. So, folks, our first whiskey tonight from this lineup is going to be the 24. I'm going to be very careful not to say the distillery name.
Good luck.
A distillery that is famed for its sherry cask maturation, and our offering tonight is from a bourbon cask. But it's 30 years old, and so we thought normally when you do a tasting, the first cab off the rank can sometimes have a hard task ahead of it, and we thought that might be a bit grim for that whiskey to be the first one and to be the whiskey that we calibrate on. So what I was going to suggest is, whilst we have a little bit of banter at the start here, why don't you all go away, find a dram at home? It can be a blend or maybe just a generic single malt, ideally from a bourbon cask. Matt and I have just poured ourselves something here from a very well-known distillery in Speyside. It's just their commercial 12-year-old expression. And we're just going to use that to calibrate and get our palates in the mood so that by the time we come to approach the amazing 30-year-old 24, we're going to appreciate it all that much more. And I think that's important for what is a really rare special dram. So first cab off the rank for us is this one.
Sanjaba.
Cheers. I invite you to do the same if you can scramble and find something at home.
That's a really what's the word for it? Really
generic.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say that because it's a nice whiskey.
It's a beautiful whiskey.
But it's
no, but I mean, this is exactly what it sets out to be. That classic Speyside, slightly grassy, slightly floral, little bit of fruit. Malt comes through. Does its job. And for $60 a bottle or whatever it is these days.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
Matthew says, hi, guys. Hello, mate. And Whiskey in Focus says, evening all. Hello, Whiskey in Focus.
There you
go. If you're just joining us, and there's a lot of people watching along, actually, which is great to see, we are drinking through the Vaults Virtual, the Ultimate Vaults Virtual, with 5 whiskeys from really another era of distillation. And Andrew's recommended we start with a calibration dram, something generic, something commercially available.
Just something to wet your whistle, get your taste buds in the mood. you might have just knocked off work or come home, had a bite to eat. I think it's important you just have a dram of something, so that when we approach these 5 beauties, we're going to appreciate them all the more and really get them and see them singing and shining in their full glory.
Yeah.
Well, I'm calibrated. How about you?
I'm duly calibrated. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
All right.
So
this is exciting. We're going to start with the 24. So if you're playing along at home, if you've got this pack in front of you, which I know many of you do, we're going to start with the 24.143 substance over style.
how many? Again, I'll say it. How many tastings do you go to where the very first cab off the rank is a 30-year-old from Distillery 24? That's pretty rare.
And in your pack, you've got your tasting map, which we encourage you to take a photo of. In fact, the best photo of tonight's setup will win a 3-dram pack. So we've got the 3-dram pack going on. As I said here, you can see it on the screen right now. Show your home setup. Post a photo to our Facebook group or tag us on Instagram for a chance to win a 3-dram pack tonight. It's the 3-dram pack you get for referring a friend to join the society, or if you're a new member yourself, you also get one just by joining the society at the moment. Show your photo, but also you've got your tasting notes. So this is a really good way to, I guess, explore some of the whiskey in the pack. The tasting notes and the tasting order is not as the order in your menu, so just follow along with what's on the screen. 24.143 substance over style in the spicy and dry flavor profile.
And on the nose, that's been well categorized, I'd say. That's spicy and dry right straight off the bat.
Now, I don't want to influence anything, but is that immediately just old perfume for me? There's almost a perfume note to it though.
In the days of the old local tasting panel, we would have nosed that and gone, wow, you've just got those wonderful notes that you get from an aged oak cask. It's actually oak coming through. Yep. Little notes of leather. You could almost stretch that leather to horse saddle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I like the tasting note of crushed oat cakes and buttermilk. That's a good one. Plush cereals. That's a cool opportunity, though, for us to taste this, isn't it?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Now it's a lower ABV as well. It's 48.3%, and that's coming through on the nose. There's absolutely no prickle to speak of. It's very gentle.
Blair says he can smell it from there. Wherever you are, Blair, you're not close to here, so yeah, you probably, if you can, good on you.
You know what I like? If you dive in deep enough, and that initial that leather and that oak note comes along, if you just sift underneath that, you can still get the beautiful malt, the cereal malt
after 30 years as well.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm guessing, but I'm gonna guess that this would have been from the era when this distillery was very much riding the Golden Promise wave. Back that era,
the barley varietal.
Yeah. Golden Promise. That's exactly right. Thank you for clarifying.
Well, just in case, it's just
we take these things for granted.
We do say, What does Golden Promise mean?
Golden Promise. It was a variety of barley that this distillery certainly hung its hat on. You'd have to say.
Yeah.
Certainly up to about the early 90s, 92, 93. And it was famed for creating a really rich, oily, flavoursome spirit.
Ooh, that's got so much life on the palate, isn't it? It's lovely.
She's vibrant. And that's actually a comment worth making. When you get to aged whiskies, sometimes you can spend an awful lot of money for a dram that can be pretty tired. One of the great things that our tasting panel does in Scotland when they're selecting and choosing things for the Vaults collection, they're only going to consider stock that is still vibrant. It still has something to recommend it. Just because it's old doesn't mean it should be bottled. We will only bottle stuff that actually has merit. And on the palate, tell you what an amazing, the mouthfeel of that is extraordinary.
It's just
and
bouncing,
it just,
isn't it? The finish
you start salivating as it just draws juice from your mouth.
Oh, wow. There's something I've talked about before on live about older whiskey doesn't mean it's better.
No,
that's often a misconception that older whiskey must mean it's got to be a better whiskey. It's just different. It's a bit like saying Armagnac's better than cognac. It's not true. It's like, or Islay whiskey's better than mainland whiskey or something like that, which is also.
You threw that one out, didn't you? We're
going into thin ground there, but the fact of the matter is, it reacts differently. It talks to you differently. They have different characteristics, and they often have things like this where it's so much life for such an older whiskey, as Andrew was saying.
I think the only guarantee you can really get with an older whiskey is that you know it's going to be more expensive. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can guarantee it is. Yeah. Speaking of price, by the way, I mean,
tell them the price.
No, tell them the price. Well, I mean, this is an old whiskey, but it's also quite an expensive whiskey. No, there's no way of hiding that. It's $2,950 a bottle. It's from our vaults collection, like all of these are. It's also worth noting just how few whiskeys go this kind of age,
and are still actually a joy to drink.
A joy to drink, exactly. Yeah. That haven't fallen below 40%. Are still a joy to drink.
Worth saying that the commercial expression from this distillery at 30 years old, I think, has a price tag is it 3,800 or something? I saw for the not for the sherry. I mean, their sherry is much more.
The sherry one, yeah.
Well, the old Fine Oak, I think, was.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, the old Fine Oak 30 was about that was like.
I remember 3,700. Admittedly, that was a couple of years ago now. But.
And the sherried 30-year-old.
Well, that's mortgage your house stuff.
Yeah. Well, these like 7,000-8,000. Yeah. Great comment here. Spicy dry isn't my favorite flavor profile, but this is still a good dram. A good dram. Okay, I'll take that. We're on 24.143 substance over style. I agree with that name now. Substance over style.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like.
For me, that palate the finish is just extraordinary. It just goes on and on and on.
That is sticking around that one, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's a pleasant finish. It's sometimes with a lot of older whiskies, the finish can fall apart on you. It can turn very dry, bitter. Some of them can turn astringent. This has just kept its life and vitality on the palate as the finish slowly dissipates and those residual spirit vapors eventually evaporate on your tongue.
You get that sort of sourdough note.
I can say that. Yeah,
but like bready sort of sourdoughy note as well.
Yep. Now we talked before going live about whether we would actually need a carafe of water for any of these drams tonight. This one at 48.6%, I would have thought no, but now having had it on the palate, absolutely not.
No,
I just have no desire to reach for water.
Probably fall apart. Yeah. We won't tell them about the mad rush to even find a water carafe in time.
No, that's true. Yeah.
But,
very hard to find a device for adding water to whiskey in the Durbridge office, to be fair. Plenty of devices for adding more whiskey to your whiskey.
Yeah.
But just not water.
That's fantastic.
Well done, tasting panel. That's been...
It's also, I just want to re-emphasize like how special it is to be able to taste that from a bourbon cask as well.
Yes.
This distillate, as you were saying before, like is almost always in sherry.
Oh, well, can I tell you a story? Sorry.
Yeah. No, let's go.
Listen up, kids. I'm going to tell you something. When the society first launched in Australia in 2002, in November, I was at the very first launch tastings. And this was before this distillery brought out other varieties in their range or portfolio that had bourbon casks. Up to that point in time, we only knew this distillery for its sherry maturation. There was no such thing as fine oak or triple oak or double cask or that sort of stuff. It was just sherry, right? That's what this distillery was famed for. And that was all you could get. And it was a beautiful thing. I'm not complaining. But the point was, at that very first launch of the society in Australia, we had a 24 dot something, I've forgotten the number now. And it was from a bourbon cask. And it was unheard of. We did not know such things existed at that time. And so I remember we were all questioning and querying. It was very strange to hold up something from this distillery and see something so pale. We were used to the really dark, heavy things. And it is, I still think it's one of the great things about the society is that there is still that opportunity to taste spirit from a cask that is unlike what you would get from the commercially available expression.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, before we move on, here's my little story about 24.
Okay.
Our Vault 1682 tasting about 2 or 3 years ago now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we had it. Andrew and I previewed all the casks to make sure that we were happy with them. And I think the code was like 24.32. It was a really, really early code. And it was a 12-year-old from a sherry cask. And it was sulfur. So sulfur. Like cask sulfur as well. And it was... we made the difficult decision to make sure we kept it in the lineup to show the symptomatic what the symptoms of what the industry was then, of what was being, what sherry casks tasted like then in some instances.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was appreciated on the night for what it was. A few people who'd never heard all this talk about sulfur but never really experienced were able to go, oh wow, now I know why people complain about it.
Yeah. Paul says refill bourbon casks are my faves. You know what? Me too, mate. No, I'm absolutely with you on that one. Cool. So shall we have a look at the next whiskey, perhaps? We're going to keep going. However, you can always go at your own pace with this, because these are some really old and rare whiskies. Andrew and I know a lot of these, but it would be, if this is your first time tasting these, it might be an opportunity for you to pace yourself with this, but we'd also don't want to go too slow or too fast, but
It's a good point, actually. We should just ram that home, the fact that older whiskies can really develop over time. And
we've pre-poured these. I recommend doing the same at home. We should have started with that as well. But pre-pour them, let them open up in the glass a bit.
Yeah, if you're at a tasting and you're drinking 7, 8, 9-year-old sort of whiskies, you can generally sort of go through them quite quickly. When at this age, you really do want to give them time to develop in the glass and expand. And again, I hark back to the days of the old local tasting panel. They used to be long, late nights, because we would come to old stock and give them its due, and we'd taste them over 30, 40 minutes, particularly when Anthony Cowie was involved. That was as fast as we could get him to go. But,
and for Franz, it was the other way around.
That's right. Yeah.
10 seconds and he
very efficient, Franz. That's Swiss efficiency, like Swiss clockwork. Yeah.
Very cool. I reckon we move to the 97 next. That was sort of my suggestion.
Yeah. We debated this. We could have gone a few ways here, but I think 97. We'll find out in a moment.
Find out the hard way. So we're going to move to 97.23 Seductive Whispers of Oak, and as a 30-year-old first fill ex-bourbon barrel, first fill 30-year-old. I mean, I haven't even nosed this yet, but that alone is extremely rare.
Can I tell you, I have nosed it, and I put it to the nose just as you were reading out its name, and you said the word seductive, and I'm just inhaling to hear the word seductive in my right ear here, and that's exactly what it is. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Oh, that's marvelous.
Just tantalizing, teasing.
Marvelous nose.
Draws you in. That's a nose that says, I want to drink this.
Yeah. It's the kind of whiskey you would pour into a biggish glass and sit with it for the sports on a Sunday.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, how's the nose on that? That's just like
Now, closed distillery, this one. I should have done my homework. I've forgotten when this closed now. Was it 90? No, I'm going to...
Well, it's actually one of the chat quiz questions we were going to throw in.
Oh, okay. Well,
but I mean,
Stum.
I'm going to give away some little vouchers tonight. So quiz question number... You know what? We'll come back to quiz question number 1. But quiz question number 2 was this on the screen. If anyone wants to throw the first person to throw the answer out.
Right.
Distillery 97 was eventually closed for good in what year? Notice I didn't say demolished. It was closed for good in what year? Although it is demolished now.
What we can say and tell you is that it was one of the last of the lowland distilleries. Back in the day, when they talk about the regions and the textbooks used to talk about all the different distilleries in their areas, and the lowlands was getting smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where at one stage there was just the 3 left, and in fact in reality it was 2.5 because Bladnoch wasn't producing even though it was officially still open. So
and official bottlings of this spirit have been problematic at best.
Oh yeah,
they were wildly fluctuated in quality and output.
Interestingly, though, what you might remember is that they used to have an 8-year-old that was their flagship, and the 8-year-old was a constant that always stuck around. But then the distillery closed, and the stock got older and older and older. But they kept the 8-year-old on their packaging, and it got to the point where you could do the maths, and you knew that you were actually drinking a 15, 16-year-old badged and paying at an 8-year-old price. And let me tell you, by the time it got to 15, 16 years, it was really good spirit.
Good spirit, yeah. But of course, that depended on you getting that bottling, wasn't it?
Of course, absolutely. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, word got out, not surprisingly.
Yeah.
And we some of us went out and purchased a few. Let's put it that way.
We've seen 1997. That's not quite correct. You're very, very close. 94 is a little bit further off. That's also not correct. But the final year, the year they closed. If no one gets this, it was a bit of a tricky question. People think 94. I don't think it's 94. I think it's another year entirely, but I may have done my research wrong, but I don't think I have. Anyway, 97.23. Also, so for those who you probably already know, the first number is the distillery code, but the second number is the number of casks bottled by the society as passed by the tasting panel, and only 23 ever in 30 years. So it's pretty small output. Distilled April 1990. Think about what you're doing in April 1990.
April 1990.
I was somewhere in primary school. Where were you?
I was in my last year of high school.
There you go.
Oh God, have you tasted that yet?
I'm getting there.
Oh,
I'm getting there.
wow. Oh, mate.
Mm.
Oh. I've said this before. It's probably not riveting viewing when you see two blokes just sort of stop and want to just luxuriate in the moment. But that hit my palate, and I didn't want to say another word for the next 5 minutes. That's extraordinary. Wow. Where is all that tropical fruit coming from?
That's unbelievable. I wouldn't call that a whisper of oak, though. That's a.
But it's
tropical fruits.
It's a tropical fruit oak, isn't it? That's like we used to talk about. Peaches in a can. This is peaches in oak. This is
peaches in oak. Yeah,
like we've popped the head off the barrel and just taken the peaches out.
So it should say first fill peach barrel here.
It really should. Yeah.
I love this quote though. On the palate, that whisper became a Carmina Burana chorus of church pews. I like that. Of leather and tobacco strands, spiced rum, cinnamon, Grand Marnier. That is a spectacular whiskey.
My goodness. And such a contrast to its predecessor.
Yeah. The last one was very much, I'm glad we started with the 24 in some ways, because this is far more like rich and seductive, as you're saying. Like it almost would have overpowered that 24 in some ways.
But again, though, I only said peaches initially. I'm still now getting pineapple. There's guava there.
There's been so many good guesses for that year, but it's actually I think the right answer is 1996. But that's what I researched. But look, you know what? I think that one we'll have to leave that question for now. And if someone gets it right, I'll go back and check. I
can see someone there is quoting scotchwhiskey.net as their source, saying 94. Bear in mind that website closed and shut down. So, I mean, can you trust it? Really? Come on.
I want to try it with water, but I also don't want to. Does that make sense?
I wouldn't go near water with this.
You know what? I'm going to.
Okay.
Because, I want to see what happens here. Because we've done this before. We've said,
we have. The possibility, folks, is you are watching in real time a man destroy a whiskey. Let's see this now. Let's watch it.
Okay, just a smidge, just to know
well done.
What we're dealing with here.
That was an appropriate drop.
On the nose? No, don't do that. Don't do what I just did. But dismantled is not the same as closed. The question was closed, and I'm pretty sure it closed in 96. But anyway, look, everyone's jumping in on that one. That question should have gone a bit differently. Yeah, but it ran until 92, but it didn't. Anyway, they kept running at the stills until
you can mothball until you eventually say, right, let's close it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Palate holds up with water, actually, surprisingly well. But the nose doesn't. I appreciate the nose without it, though. That is unbelievable, though. I might have to.
And to get to that age and still be 58% too.
Yeah, exactly. And from a first fill barrel, like it's unbelievable for first fills to do that kind of length of time in spirit.
That's just so good.
I might have to seriously think about getting one of these.
I
might just seriously think. Sort of one of those Christmas treat yourself kind of moments for me. Like that's just.
Well, I'll tell you what, my wife would get cranky. I bought that for myself, but I would be very happy to buy a bottle for you, and if you could reciprocate.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
I'll buy one
so if we both buy one, and I'll give you mine, and you give me yours.
Yeah. Then I won't get in trouble. She'll say, "What's this expense for?" I'll say, "It was a gift. It was a gift for Matt.
A very special gift from Matt." Yeah. There you go. I can deal with that.
Cool. Right.
Gab says he has to go to work, but we'll watch on replay tonight. Yes, like I said, you can always watch this back later. As soon as the stream finishes, it's on our Facebook group, on our Facebook page, and on our YouTube channel. So we encourage you to watch it later on. So according to Wiki, it was 94. Again, the closed year. But anyway, Well, look, leave that question. We'll leave that question for now because now it's frustrating me. But,
I do have the Bible nearby if you'd like me to go.
Yeah, but I mean, how? Okay, well, no, let's.
I think we can trust the Bible.
Yeah, the current year one. All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. If you want to grab it, Andrew's going to go grab the malt whiskey yearbook.
We'll get the definitive,
the actual whiskey Bible, as we like to call it. I'll have to keep you entertained in the meantime. There's look, that is, like I said, first fill bourbon barrels going that length of time is unusual, and so this is kind of something special. And as Andrew and I said before, I mean, here it is, the actual Bible, great book every year.
Hey, there's a review on the back. I can sincerely and heartily endorse the Malt Whiskey Yearbook to anyone wanting to further their knowledge of whiskey. By Whiskey and Wisdom.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them.
Sorry.
Okay. You should get out more.
I actually didn't know you had that quote on the back of the book. I've even got that book and I didn't even look at the back cover yet.
I'm actually quoted in the front too, but anyway. Never mind. Right.
Never mind. It'll be in the closest.
That's amazing. The page it's on is 197. 97?
197. It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
Amazing dream. Yeah, Paul, it really is. It's there's layers of complexity in that. I like the expression of being like old church pews, and it just shows there's just enough oak in there. But it's
all right. What was your answer?
96.
Okay.
The year it closed.
Reading this, I would give you the points.
Thank you.
I shall read it out. Scotland's oldest working distillery until production stopped in 1992. Triple distillation was practiced until 1930. In 1996, the distillery was dismantled and part of the buildings demolished. And in 2004, much of the remaining buildings were destroyed by fire. I would read that and take 96 as the answer.
96 was the intended answer, look, because it was the year that they actually closed. And between 92 and 96, they was mothballed, but which means that they were,
Yeah. So
sorry, folks. Whoever got the closest, maybe. I think I saw some 97s. Anyway, I'll come back through to that one. But an amazing dram. Like Paul, you're right. It is an amazing whiskey. Truly enjoyable. So good fun. Great fun.
That's that's amazing. Every sip I take, I think, wow, could that get any better? And it does.
Lovely stuff. We're so lucky that we even get to taste all five of these in one hit as well, so we can explore all the differences between these super old whiskies, ranging from 27 to 33, 27, 29, and 330-year-old whiskies. This is actually our second Vaults Virtual.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, we had one in March this year, which was
another great highlight.
It was March this year. Yeah.
I was trying to think about it. It's a blur. I tell you, COVID has messed me around in a lot of ways. Yeah.
But it was in March this year where we hosted another Vaults Virtual. And this is, I think, it's almost like a part two, if you like. What's fascinating I've found already between those first two is that spicy and dry and old and dignified. I always stress to members that the cask type and age statement have nothing to do with the flavor profile. The flavor profile is the flavor, not anything else. But shall we press on?
We shall.
Yeah. Where are we up to?
I think we said we were going to do 70 next, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's go 70 next. Yeah, Sweet Fruity and Mellow, 70.40. Eloquent Silence. Some of you will be familiar with this whiskey.
Now, this is a distillery that it'd be a bit harsh to say it splits the field, but it's too much to say it's a love it or hate it. But there are some people who really adore it, and some it's not their cup of tea. But
it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, indeed.
I love it. Love it.
I love what they do. I think they make wonderful, robust, gutsy, I'll say it, ballsy whiskies.
Yeah.
Which is quite an appropriate word when you think of the shape of their stills there. But anyway, but I love what they do.
Yeah. So 30 years, Sweet Fruity and Mellow flavor profile. Distillery 70, cask 40. After 30 years, 10th of May, 1989.
Can you think of three? I haven't tasted. I've only nosed it. But can you think of three words to describe this? Because I can.
Well, what are your three?
Sweet, fruity, and mellow. I'm not being a smart aleck. That's exactly what this is.
Wow. There's something about this whiskey which reminds me of this distillery's character. I always find Distillery 70 to be quite mineralic, but
Yes.
in a really,
Yeah.
really nice way. Like quite savory and mineralic, almost like sort of like rock pools and almost like, and just mineral
I
water.
can't remember. Are they one of the distilleries that has hard water from their spring? I mean, Glenmorangie is not too far away from here, and of course, it's famous for its hard water from the Tarlogi Springs.
It very well could be. It's one of the handful that still use worm tubs.
Mm-hmm.
I like to promote the way that they do an old school spirit.
Yeah,
I'd like to say. Yep, definitely is sweet, fruity, mellow. So someone here, I think it might be Dove.
Mm.
And that's a very specific dram you've referenced there. Their early 80s 10-year-old is a nice dram. If you can find it.
Wow. Do you know those, you get them at your local sort of pie shops and milk bars? We call them fruit flans here in Sydney. If the flan's got that sort of glazed gelatin over the top, that's what that is.
The sweetness is on the palate, isn't it?
It's the sweetness of the sugary gelatin. You're getting the tart fruit underneath, and then the vanilla from the custard and the pastry.
Do you get like white jelly beans as well? Like that? I don't know. Get like
I can actually.
Almost chalky
Yep.
white jelly bean thing going on.
Yeah, definitely.
Fruit flans and jelly beans. They could have called it that. But there's also a tameness to it as well. Like it's one of those distillates I find does so well with age. There was a 1989 OB release of
Correct.
this, which was fantastic.
Yes.
It wasn't cask strength, but it was a fantastic whiskey.
Did you in that same release or series there was a 92 as well that really shone?
Right. They've gone away from doing vintages and gone back to age statements along with
Glenrothes.
Thank you. Yeah, Glenrothes, yeah. Which is distillery code 30 in our lingo. Not that I'd ever reference the two together.
Well, I wasn't going to.
But it actually leads into our next question.
Oh, right. Well, sorry. What a smooth segue. Mike, I'm sorry.
Well, you said Glenrothes,
wow.
so here we go. So that first whiskey we started with is owned by the same group as Distillery 4 and 30. The name of that group is. See if you can throw that one out there. You know what? It's not a year this time, so might actually get a consensus. First to answer, I'll throw a voucher out too.
30 is part of that group now, isn't it? Because they had that whole shuffle with Berry Brothers and Rudd.
Yeah, there was
and forwards.
There was a time where the brand was owned by Berry Brothers, but the distillery was owned by it was Mess.
Yes, yeah. They sorted that out, right?
Yeah, they sorted that out.
Actually, I watched Kingsman 2 the other night, and there's that scene where
it's a giant ad for whiskey. It's a giant whiskey ad.
But they walk into the Berry Brothers and Rudd, and I could never go.
Well, they wander around. Don't they wander around Old Forester as well or something?
Yeah, it was branded as Statesman.
Sorry. Who's first in with that one? Oh, here we go. Edrington is correct. Yes. Congratulations, Paul. I will send you a voucher. I'll pop you a message. Easy done. Don't let me forget. So that was an easier quiz, that one. We are on the virtual vaults tonight, in case you've just tuned in. The numbers always move around a little bit. And we are tasting through 5 of the rarest whiskies from the vaults. Andrew, on this point, as we're enjoying this 70.40, which is what we're on right now, let's give some context here. The Vaults collection, these are all in the black boxes. The Vaults collection now, oldest and rarest offerings from the SMWS. The Vaults. Yeah.
Spiritual home, physical home.
Spiritual and physical home of the SMWS.
If we were at a live tasting right now, we'd ask the question, has anyone been to the Vaults? And you'd see a whole stack of hands go up. And No, the society moved into its corner of the building there at our establishment in 83. And it's an amazing building. It's our members' room. So if you do happen to get to Edinburgh, we've got lots of members' rooms in Edinburgh now, up Queen Street, which is, I guess, closer to what you might call the CBD. And then down in Leith, the Vaults, one of the oldest continuous
commercial sites in all of the UK
for storing alcohol.
It is the oldest
in
the UK, but it might be one of the oldest in the world.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
1662, I want to say.
Yeah, or 1682 was definite.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But look, if you're a member of the society and you get to Edinburgh, you must go to the vaults, walk into the members' room. Time will stand still for you. It's just an amazing experience. The warmth of the venue, the warmth of the staff, the warmth and the camaraderie of the other members around there.
Fantastic.
It's what whiskey's about for me.
Yeah,
it really is.
Absolutely. A funny story about the first time ever I walked into the vaults was I'd seen all this imagery from the UK branch of the society, and there was this image of this older gentleman reading an Unfiltered magazine on one of the couches that they seem to use in a lot of their online stuff. And I remember seeing this image of this bloke reading an Unfiltered magazine, and I thought, oh, that's what the vaults looks like. And then I remember walking into the vaults, and that exact member was sitting in a couch reading an Unfiltered magazine. And I thought, right, he's a plant. He's been put there for my arrival.
It wasn't a mannequin.
No, it wasn't a mannequin, no.
What a lovely drop.
It's like the 24. It's so vibrant. It's got so much life even after 30 years. But yeah, it's just I still love that mineralic, biscuity note. Sometimes it gives off just a little bit there, like fizzy water. And
it's funny, we took quite a drop in alcoholic strength going from whiskies 2 to 3, but you'd never know.
You'd never pick it. No.
Just the relative body and texture and strength of all of those just was very harmonious, I felt.
Lovely.
Oh. And you know what? It's the first one tonight where after you've finished and you're just considering the finish on your palate, about a minute later you go, oh, that's just a little bit drying. There's the oak coming through. The oak just leaves the lasting little fingerprint on your tongue. So, it's the first one tonight where I've gone, oh, that's dry, but it's a pleasant dry. It's not a horrible tannic oaky dry.
No. It's safe to say you and I have had some pretty terrible old whiskies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where are you going with this?
No. The end. Moving right along. But it's true. I mean, we have, and we've had some pretty woeful older whiskies, and sometimes, again, going back to that discussion about age, sometimes whiskies in this age bracket are either, as you say, well over oaked, have been in the cask way too long, or they taste almost tired and dusty.
Yes.
They get that, there's a dusty aroma to some, and they taste like an actual dusty book, but in a bad way. Like not like an old library leather patina sort of thing, but like an actual sort of like horrible sort of like unkept.
And when they get to that stage, it's a very one-dimensional.
Oh yeah,
a blandness.
And you say, I'm drinking old whiskey, so therefore, it tastes old.
Yeah.
Rather than it tastes complex or interesting.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And I think the panel have done a marvelous job of selecting what goes into Vault's collection, because there's no misses here at all.
Yeah. No, I've been to plenty of tasting events, and I guess I've bought the odd one that I've cracked open privately at home, and you just think, God, what a waste of money. This is at 30, 35, 40 years old. It was bottled because of the number rather than because it was quality.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it really should have been lost in a blend, or, to be honest, tipped down the drain.
Yeah. But the decision to tip something of that age down the drain is like absurd.
Well, you've heard my famous story.
I know your famous story, but it's still, yes.
I was at a bottling plant in Scotland, and there was a 40-year-old from a very famous, well-known distillery that's dear to my heart.
Yes.
And the alcoholic strength had dropped below 40%. And, of course, they could have done something with that. They could have vatted it with a cask at a higher strength to bring it up north of 40, put out a batting, and they just decided, no, it's past its prime, and they tipped it down the drain. And even just the whole sort of like, oh, why don't we just add some sugar and orange oil and turn it into a liqueur? Yeah, like just anything would have worked. But well, to watch it go down the drain was one thing. To watch me jump into the drain after it was something else. But I tell you, it was.
You were at the outpipe on the other side of the distillery, trying to catch it,
trying to find my straw in my pocket.
No. Paul says, "Is there a secret handshake to access the good stuff?" Yes. All you do is say, "Hi, I'm a member of the SMWS, and I've come all the way from Australia." There you go. That's your secret handshake.
Yeah.
A lot of old 73s from Edrington popping up that are amazing. Okay, 73s. Yes. Yeah, there you go. Cool. I reckon we move on to number 4.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now we've had this a couple of times, you and I.
We have, and it's
yeah.
even made a feature in the 3 dram pack, which
Yes,
is also very
that's right.
exciting. Yep.
Yep.
So we're going to move on to 38.27 Earl Grey tea tree oil.
Again, a closed distillery and a dismantled, demolished, and site bought by another proprietor and now repurposed for a completely different purpose altogether. So yeah, good luck finding this one.
I love the story behind it though. It was meant to supplement Distillery 9 across the road.
Correct. Yeah.
And it was meant to be sort of to supplement the demand on that malt, but it never ever tasted the same. And of course, it was, even if you did a 1-for-1 replica, it would taste different, and that's the alchemy of good distillation. But it was so radically different. So it initially started its life as a different distillery name, and then it became called something else later down the track.
Did it not start? And this is not the distillery, so we can say it, but it was opened and operated as Glen Grant No. 2. I thought, is that not right?
Well, look, you know what? Here we go. Because we didn't coordinate well enough, here was quiz question number 1. Before it was called Cappadonic, Distillery 38 was unimaginatively called Glen Grant 2. Sorry, don't worry about that question. I should have sorry you for that one.
I am so
no,
sorry.
That's why I tried to avoid saying it. But it was. This distillery was called Glen Grant 2.
Chemistry.
Yeah,
Chemistry.
It's okay. That's okay. That was a crap question. Don't worry about it. Okay, but this was called Glen Grant 2 before it got renamed to what it became after, because it was just never the same. And
can you smell that? I think I just stepped in it.
Yeah. So anyway, where was I? I've lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
Bloody Andrew again. Look.
So you're right. It was Glen Grant No. 2.
Yes, but it ended up being renamed because it started developing its own profile, so it became
this one.
And
but that was like it closed for a good 50, 60 years, didn't it?
Oh, it was a huge gap. Yeah, huge gap between the two. Yeah, but the thing is that I think it's unfairly compared to Distillery 9.
Yes,
because they were never the same. And the single malts I've tried from this distillery, including this one, are often way more sort of viscous and funky, and had like such a different character than the 9, which is quite light and quite like.
Do you think that's possibly because
I'm talking even OB, like even like OB?
Oh, I was going to say, okay, well,
that's
fine. I don't think I've had too many OBs from 38. So
there was a bunch even recently.
The 38s I've had have all been independents and quite old. So. By the way, what's the next quiz question so I don't goof it?
No, we're done.
We're
That's
done?
it. Yeah, there's 1,
okay.
2, 3 done.
Well, we've got to think of a replacement quiz question.
Well, just to share on screen, the first one, of course, became the most hotly contested incorrect answers I think I've ever seen. The next one was immediately answered by Paul, so Paul, well done. And the third one was bamboozled on me. But that's okay. That's okay. But we are drinking 38.27 again. So few that we've had.
Okay. So here's the question then. So a replacement question.
Okay, replacement question.
This distillery was demolished. The site has been purchased by which company?
Well, that's tricky. That's a tricky.
They're still in the whiskey game.
No, I get it.
Very much so.
Okay, yeah. Yes, Glen Grant 2 was the answer. There you go.
Someone's popped up the closures. It's 1902 to 1965. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. I feel like that's a Google search. Unless you memorize those dates, that's very impressive.
I'm annoyed with myself now because I knew it was 1902. I couldn't remember when it opened though.
First answer back has been Pernod Ricard. Is that correct?
No.
That is incorrect. Right. Let's keep trying. Mike says, it's too late for that. We've done them. Yeah. It is not Pernod. It is not Pernod Ricard, but there you go. Closed in 2002, dismantled in 2010. Sounds right-ish.
That's about right. Yep. And then sat very dormant. And then the company that now owns the site and has moved into that space bought it. I'm going to say, was it 2 years ago now? 3 years ago.
Okay, well, let's just talk about this whiskey for a second.
I was about to say, in the meantime, I'm actually drinking a really tasty whiskey here.
We've got both Leylands here. We've got Diageo for one and Seagram for the other. Which
neither.
Okay, no, neither. We're still going to keep trying. We're on 38.27 Earl Grey tea tree. Immediately for me, like that herbal cough syrup thing going on.
Yeah,
like herbal cough syrup in a good way. Like again, certainly in a good way, but like there's a herbal note to this. Like, what's that? Oh, there's a type of herbal tea I've had before, which reminds me of. And I'm not. Don't say Earl Grey. That's not herbal tea. I know it's called Earl Grey tea tree, but it's like a.
The only one I know is chamomile, but it's not that.
No, it's not chamomile. It's something else like a green tea kind of note there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Bit butterscotchy, quite viscous. It's like it's literally clinging to the glass. This one. No.
No one's coming with that answer yet.
No. It's not Diageo. It's not.
No?
It is not Diageo. It is not Seagram. It is not Pernod Ricard. Is it Inverhouse? Is it Brown Forman?
No.
I don't know. I mean, I actually don't know the answer to this.
They don't produce whiskey.
They just produce gin or something?
No.
Okay.
They are the heart and soul of most whiskey distilleries in Scotland.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
Well, no one's answering, so I'll say it. It's Forsyths.
Mm.
Forsyths, the still makers, the guys that make the stills. They've always been alongside, next to the site that was Distillery 38, and they acquired and they've moved their operation in there now.
Have you tasted that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's you do.
It's herbal note, is it?
Yeah, but you do get that Earl Grey, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Earl Grey's still there. Yeah.
What's the main thing? Is it bergamot? What's the
bergamot?
Bergamot. So bergamot French. Well, again, that's one is a little dry, but it's a pleasant drying.
Very much so.
And again, we've dropped south of 50%. Just we're 49.7, but holds up, doesn't it?
Holds up very well indeed. Yeah, very well indeed. Ooh. So all of these whiskies, by the way, are available. I think 70.40 Eloquent Silence might be only 1 or 0 left. Very close to depleted that one. But all the rest are available. I certainly hope the 97.23 is available because
they're down 2 now.
They're down 2 wherever we started from. And the 24.143 was only just released in November outturn.
I'll tell you now, there's 4 bottles left.
4 of that one left because there's something happening tomorrow.
There is something happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
We had 5.
We had 5.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, we have it on. It's no surprise. It was in the email, but we've got it on pour for.
It's on pour at tomorrow's Steps tasting in Sydney for purchased by the Dram.
Yeah, at a proper break even as well.
Yes,
unbelievably so. And the next one that we're going to finish with, the 53, is actually what we would call a future release, and this is almost a preview. Actually, not almost. Actually, a preview.
It is.
Yeah. The real question should be if you're wearing pants or not. We are both wearing trousers. I'm sorry.
I was going to stand up and surprise everyone.
Really slowly, though. Just give people enough time to close their browser windows. But oh dear. But we're going to go on to 53.333. I think it's cool. We've made it to 333 casks from Distillery 53 bottled, and probably one of the most diverse outputs of age statement, cask type, and everything. Even just in the last couple of years, we've seen what do you call it? We've seen 7-year-old refill bourbon barrels. We've seen 14-year-old first fill sherry casks. And now we're seeing 29-year-old Vaults collection, old and dignified refill bourbon hogsheads. So
now. Have we I can't remember now. Have we, the society, bottled an unpeated variant from this distillery? I think we did we not? About 2.5 years ago?
Yes, it was a 15-year-old. It was a 15-year-old unpeated.
So, as you say, incredibly diverse distillery, and the society's been at the forefront of showcasing that diversity. Yeah. So, look, no surprise to see we've moved over to Isla for the first whiskey in our lineup tonight. You're now getting that peat, that smoke. Great name, I have to say. Bandages on a mermaid slipper. It's all there, isn't it? It's got the brine and the maritime note for the mermaid there. You've got the antiseptic and the gauze for the bandage. Now the slipper. It's not smelling of feet to me, but
flipper.
Slipper or flipper? What did I? It says slipper there.
No. Okay, on your tasting mat it says bandages on a mermaid's slipper, which is meant to say bandages on a mermaid's flipper, as in flipper, as in like a
as in the
mermaid's. As in a dolphin's flipper. No, why don't I know what says slipper? It's not a slipper. Okay,
that's really funny because the look you gave me then was priceless, and I'm going, what have I done wrong?
I thought you just misread the menu. I was like,
No.
why does he keep saying slipper? Okay, yeah, it's flipper with an F. This is, of course, a 29-year-old Isla whiskey. How exciting is that?
That's something you don't come across every day, is it?
No. And refill bourbon hogshead, 1990, 221 bottles. We got 30 of them for Australia. There's obviously a couple less now that they've gone into these packs. And we featured this at the train tasting just last weekend. So a couple less there again.
Oh, wow.
And Canberra's got it featured, by the way. If you live in the ACT or you know anyone in the ACT, next Thursday night, Canberra have their steps tasting, and they've got this on pour. So if that's not good enough reason to go along to steps, I don't know what is.
By the way, I got an email from a member the other day, and he said, "Why do you keep calling it steps? What the hell is steps?" And it comes back to the very first steps tasting we did in 2007, and it was called 12 Steps to Heaven. And of course, we had 12 whiskeys featured on that night. There was the old joke about the 12 steps that you would go on at Alcoholics Anonymous. So we called it 12 Steps to Heaven. And there's over the journey, we then had 10 Steps to Heaven and 8 Steps to Heaven. And over time, we've lost the to heaven bit, and then now just called steps. But
we were going to rename it to hell. But,
well,
yeah.
I think ACDC have got a highway going there.
So. Paul asks, any 29s coming up? Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
2, in fact, in the pipe. Two on the next shipment that's arriving.
There you go. 2.
And then a few more on the pipeline after that.
Yeah, there's always some good 29s coming through. Well, almost always. And it was at Whiskey for SMWS members. That is true. We were at Whiskey a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, which was for the festival in Queensland, which was great. Big shout out to Scott Mansfield and Daniel Mathers for their support there. Thank you.
Oh, and cheers to Nathan, who just got voted in as Chief Laird of the Queensland Malt Whisky Society up there.
Oh, yeah. Cheers to you as well. Did I even spell the caption? I did. There you go. Look at that.
Oh.
I got it right on the caption. I can't believe that. All right. So,
how do we know which one's right?
Look really close on the bottle image. Here we go.
Okay.
No, it says Flipper on the bottle.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
When I was a kid, Flipper was a show on telly, and you'd come home from school and watch a dolphin.
Yeah, I remember Flipper. Yeah,
it was the American version of Skippy, wasn't it?
Dude.
What's up, Skip? Fire in the bush. Yeah. Okay.
Did you get beyond 2000 as well? Was that just?
I'm old enough to remember when it was called Towards 2000.
No, really?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
It was Towards 2000 when it first came out, and then got rebadged as Beyond when the millennium ticked over.
No, it must have been called Beyond 2000.
It was. I'm sorry.
Before 2000.
It was. You're quite right. But when it started, it was Towards.
Yeah, Towards 2000.
Amanda Keller was an early presenter on that show.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
There you go. It's a long career in television. Yeah. Any more Armagnacs or cognacs coming up?
Not in my immediate field of vision. I have to say, the cognacs we, the Society, have bottled have been some of the finest spirits coming out of France I've ever tasted. They're extraordinary.
Absolutely.
And yet it'd be fair to say that the Australian membership has not embraced them.
The cognacs.
Yeah.
The Armagnacs go pretty well.
As good as they are, they don't. I have to say, they don't fly off the shelves.
No. The Armagnacs do.
Yes.
The Armagnacs we bottled, which are also great French spirit, have sold very well. But the cognacs are always a little bit slower. For no reason whatsoever. I mean,
to be fair, I guess people are joining our group because they are whiskey lovers, and it's the Whiskey Society.
It is Whiskey Society, not a cognac society.
Although our wonderful spirits.
Yes. And we got some cracking rums, and we've got some great gins coming in.
Oh, can I tell you, there's some amazing rums in the pipeline.
Yes. Amazing rums, yeah. Very exciting. I hope you're all enjoying this 53 as much as we are. This is This is a conversational 53.
It is. Do you know what? I was just thinking, people often ask me, what's your favorite Islay distillery?
Mm.
And I can give 2 or 3 answers to that.
No.
Well, I can, because I love them all, and I can't choose my favorite child. But oddly enough, when I give the 2 or 3, this distillery isn't in that 2 or 3, and yet every time I have a Society 53,
yeah.
I go, wow, this is the best stuff ever. And that's, I think, most whiskey connoisseurs have sort of said that for a long time now. The fact that this distillery just shines when the Society bottles it.
Yeah.
Society,
Yeah.
oh, actually, I guess if I'm being honest, people just generally say the independent bottlings of it are fantastic.
Yeah.
And certainly the Society 53s just blow me away. When people say, what's your favorite distillery? I guess we tend to reach more for the commercial ones that you see.
The big names.
The big names, yeah.
I mean, you could say the same about like Speyside and Highland distilleries. That,
of course, hugely, yeah.
How many people do you say tell you that Balmenac is their favorite distillery?
Yeah, not many.
Not many.
No. Yeah.
Even though it's a great distillery.
Indeed. I was not.
Matt, you have to remember, what's this? Remember, you have to let me know which rum would be best for next year's Christmas fruitcake. Dov, I know that's you. Yes, we will let you know. Yes, that's indeed.
Here's a question for you. This is extraordinary. I'm loving this. Food-wise, what would you pair it with?
I mean, the obvious would be something like seafood, but I don't think it's almost like that's just like a simple cop out of it.
I'm thinking a dessert. I reckon that could stand up to a dessert.
It's quite sweet, isn't it? Actually.
Wow.
It's like sweet smoke and sugar.
The funny thing is, again, it's a trap for young players. We talked about it earlier. There's this misperception amongst consumers that older whiskey must be better whiskey. And so when people think about an Islay whiskey and they think, this is a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old, it must be bigger, it must be smokier, it must be peatier. And the opposite is true. One of the interesting things about Islay whiskies is that the peat level, the phenols in the spirit, diminishes with time. So the older the whiskey gets, the less smoke and the less peat will be in there. Yep. And so when you're drinking aged Islay stock, and certainly at 30 years, you're getting a very different experience.
Very different.
And for me, it opens up just a kaleidoscope of complexity and different flavors. And certainly for the distilleries that mature their stock by the water, and this is not one of them, to be honest, they can take on that brininess of 30 years sitting next to the Atlantic. This distillery, of course, is famous for tanking all its spirit across to the mainland and maturing on the mainland. But it
takes on some terroir.
It does.
So but it does. And
Oh, you know what? This smells just like Bathgate, halfway between Glasgow and Edinburgh. It's. Do you get that Bathgate around? Yeah.
Tanker. Hints of tanker.
I caught a train to Bathgate once. To,
really?
To watch not Skip Finish. The other band that's just, I've had a mental blank for a moment. Always get your facts right before you start the story. That's the key.
Or at least the names or places.
Scary Ball. I went to caught a train to Bathgate to watch Scary Ball.
Very cool. Well, great comment from Paul of what food to pair this with. He says a Bunning snag.
You can pair anything with a Bunning snag. It's a very versatile delicacy, that one. I think the real decision is, do you go tomato sauce or barbecue sauce? That's the trick.
No, there's only one answer to that.
On your Bunning snag?
Both.
Oh, wow.
And extra onion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Both?
Yeah, both.
You are avant-garde.
Tomato tang and the barbecue spice.
Wow, okay.
Everything's in there.
Tell you what.
So many fruits after 25 years. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Oh, delicious stuff. Seriously, that's it is funny that what happens to, like you're saying, older whiskey, develop this tropical and complex aromas that younger peated whiskies don't have. But if you're new to whiskey and you think that you're buying a 25 or 30-year-old peated whiskey means you're going to get the massive smoke bomb, you're going to be very disappointed.
Well, the classic is that those people have gone out and remortgaged their house and purchased these old Port Ellens at 38 years old and then complain because there's no smoke in it, and you go, well, duh. That's a Scottish term, duh, by the way.
It's
Gaelic for idiot.
Oh, well. You remortgaged your house. Oh, well, you know. Oh, that sucks. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, everyone. This has been great to taste through the Ultimate Vaults Collection Virtual, our second Vaults Collection tasting this year, and our last official virtual tasting packaged up, apart from 3 dram sets and other things that Andrew and I are hosting for this year, because we have hit the December virtual. This is our 12th big virtual for the year, and we will see you again in January, of course. And you'll see some of the virtuals coming through next year. Even if everything's completely opened up everywhere, we can continue doing these fantastic virtuals and sharing these whiskies with you across Australia.
I think they're fantastic. We've had enough members tell us that they can't always get to our venues when we are doing live events, and that this is their way to drink the drams and engage with us. So, yeah, we'll certainly keep this going into next year, regardless of lockdowns or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And a big shout out to Susie and Danelle in our team who helped put all of this together, of course. So, and I know they don't like me doing that, but there you go.
No, I want to shine the spotlight on Susie and Danelle and thank them for the fantastic efforts. And I want to give a big shout out to you. Well done, mate, for everything you've done this year.
Awesome. Thank you.
You've excelled. I think you've created space that did not exist prior to this. And I think you're leading the way. And it has been a joy and privilege to drink whiskey with you during these sessions.
Sanjava.
Cheers, mate.
We'll see you all soon. Thank you very much, Andrew. And I will catch you all on the other side. And I'll see you at Steps tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Twice in 2 days. Twice in 2 days.
Wow.
Great stuff, guys. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, everyone, for joining on this Vaults Virtual. It's meant a lot to us as well. We'll see you all soon. Cheers.
Bye for now. Cheers.